Yeah, so hello everybody, and thanks for taking your time to join the seminar on our novel ultra-fast curing agent presentation for adhesives application. It's my pleasure to have you in this virtual innovation day, and thanks for SpecialChem for setting this up. Before we get started, just wanted to introduce some categories for today's presentation that might be worthwhile to remember. So we are going to talk about speed, obviously. So that's what you can tell from the title. It's about an ultra-fast curing agent, but also about strength, which is important for adhesives, at least some. Then about temperature stability. Then one specific focus on color and odor. And of course, about plasticizers or the absence of them. So these are the 5 categories to remember for today's presentation. To get you in the picture about the topic area that we are focusing on today is we will talk about high strength structural epoxy adhesives. So in this bandwidth from soft to very tough adhesives, we are dealing with the left-hand side of this bandwidth, about the 2K epoxy adhesives with specific requirements on high strength and toughness, as well as chemical and temperature resistancy. So typical use area in automotive, in wind, or in other industrial applications, but also in electronics and some special areas such as aerospace. So that's the topic for today, and happy that we'll have that journey together. But first of all, before we start, who are we? I didn't introduce myself, so maybe that's the right time to do that now. So my name is Leif Ickert. I'm working for the company Evonik in the marketing function for composites and adhesives for epoxy curing agents. And to let you know where you will find our products within the huge bandwidth of Evonik corporate company, here's a quick overview. So Evonik Industries is subdivided into 3 segments, dealing with different kinds of chemistries and different kinds of application fields. And we are here positioned, highlighted more or less in the center of it. Our business line is the business line Crosslinkers, and epoxy curing agent is a part of the Crosslinkers business, and we are a part of the resource efficiency segment. So that's just a brief overview about where you will find us in the Evonik world. We, as the epoxy curing agents, we do have the ambition to be the #1 epoxy hardener supplier in the world. We do have a global revenue roughly of €500 million, and we are serving multiple industries. So adhesives is in focus for today, but beyond that, there is applications, of course, in composites and also in huge application areas such as civil engineering, so industrial flooring, and or anti-corrosive coatings for bridges, ships, and containers and such. We do have a global footprint, so we do have production as well as sales and development facilities across the world. So whenever you talk to us, we do act as a global team with multiple resources across the world. I am positioned in Europe, in Germany, in our chemical plant here in Marl, and my fellow colleagues are in Allentown, Pennsylvania, for the North American part, and the main development hub for Asia is located in China, in Shanghai. What is important to say at this point in time, we don't do adhesives, and that's very important. We are doing neat amines as well as curing agents or building blocks for epoxy curing. So we really support you as the adhesives manufacturer, who are, let's say, the decisive partner for driving material innovation, set and or change industry standards. And what we are offering is that we are offering support for an effective and fast product development. And of course, we are offering that you can utilize our Crosslinkers toolbox. So the areas of applications where our products are currently in use, I did already mention them at the very beginning of this presentation. It's mainly automotive, product assembly, electronic and electrical, and also aerospace. A broad range of 2K adhesives, but also some 1K adhesive products, plus some sealants, adhesion promoters for PVC plastizoles. So the bandwidth of products that we are offering are from the state-of-the-art DCA and diamide to accelerators for these 1K applications like modified amines or imidazoles, but also for 2K applications like aliphatic and cyclo-aliphatic amines, where we're strong backbone in that, plus polyamides and some specialties like phenolic tertiary amines, reactive diluents and such. Just highlighting some names that you might have come across already or that you will come across in the presentation today. That's our product range from the product name point of view. I've highlighted here the ones that are of relevance for the adhesives and sealants market. Main focus for today's presentation will be in that top left area. So we are going to talk about the Ancamine products, basically, which are the toolbox of aliphatic and cyclo-aliphatic amine curing agents that can be used in a broad range of epoxy curing applications. So what was our motivation for this new development that I'm going to introduce to you in a minute? We have been reviewing the market, talking to our customers, talking to our cooperation partners, and throughout the past years, three major trends became more and more obvious. On the one hand side, high material performance. Roughly, let's say, summarizing it as a superior bonding performance, of course, improved performance like impact or chemical resistance, and also a wider usability. So, for example, bonding of dissimilar materials. Second major trend, of course, is sustainability, green and safe material solutions. So just to highlight one here, a reduced process energy consumption, or of course, a reduced volatile organic components in these materials, in adhesives and also in curing agent. And the third category, of course, cost effectiveness, driving cost down to also broaden the use of application and to act more effective. And most important to do that is, of course, an increased productivity, talking about faster cycle times and probably also lower curing temperatures. Taking this into account for the 2K epoxy world, we are looking at a state-of-the-art positioning of different high or let's say ultra fast curing adhesives. Of course, benchmark is the methyl methacrylate systems, which can cure in minutes or set even in seconds. Of course, there's some drawbacks to these MMA solutions. We do have an acrylic odor. These products are moisture sensitive. We do have quite a low TG, and these kinds of adhesives are quite brittle. So they are not really usable in the target application of structural adhesives. On the other hand side, we do have a very flexible and broad range of urethane adhesives, which can also set very fast, like in minutes set time. And of course, to cure through, it will take 1 to 2 hours. But if we really focus on the structural adhesive side, talking about epoxy, the one curing agent that is current state of the art is an epoxy Mercaptan solution. It can set in a couple of minutes and it will cure in roughly 1 hour. And it's the strongest structural adhesive with good mechanical performance and also with good chemical resistancy. The downside or the drawback of these curing agent is that it has an unpleasant sulfur odor. And it will require added tertiary amine to do the epoxy or kick off the epoxy homopolymerization. But we set ourselves this as a target with regard to the cure speed, at least. So getting back to the categories that I've introduced at the very beginning of this presentation, the targets for our development were clear. We wanted to have an ultra-fast curing agent that has a very high strength and toughness, a high TG, at least on the level of the Mercaptan solution, but without the sulfur odor, and best case without yellowing, and with the absence of a plasticizer. So that was the target. Jumping back into our portfolio, it was clear that we would be leveraging our toolbox of amines, which do have, of course, the characteristic of being very reactive, but also allow a longer pot life if required, a low toxicity, which is important to mention here, and where we can tune the system to end up with a high TG, with a good toughness, a good elongation, etc. So we, let's say, used our toolbox of these amine systems to come up with a new solution. To visualize the target in a more pragmatic way, this is our tube map, so to speak, of the solutions that we do have currently in our toolbox. So starting with a reference polyamide, Ancamine 3030, we have multiple options in the toolbox already to increase the toughness, to lower the viscosity, to extend the pot life. If we look to the left-hand side with other polyamide solutions, and if we look to the right-hand side, increase the flexibility, also have a higher TG and higher mechanical performance, and also a faster cure. But we were finding that there was an area where we could still improve. So the development target was clear, that we wanted to extend the path to an even faster cure epoxy curing agent. So this is what we developed. The product name is Ancamine 2914 UF, and UF, you can probably guess that this stands for ultra fast. So that's our novel ultra fast amine curing agent. It's positioned right next to the epoxy Mercaptan, so where we wanted it to end up more or less, so that we've reached that target. And we do have a curing agent that allows strongest structural adhesives, so even exceeding the Mercaptan performance, with a high temperature and solvent resistancy, and with no odor and at least reduced yellowing. We have to keep in mind, of course, that there are some differences, so it's not a immediate substitute for a Mercaptan solution. So if you replace a Mercaptan, for example, you would have, of course, to regard or to consider a different mixing ratio. That's important to say. Going through the categories that we've highlighted in the first place, so talking about the speed and the temperature stability, we do have working time that is in the range of the Mercaptan. We have to admit that the green strength buildup is a little lower than the Mercaptan, but we are in the same ballpark. So we are in the same area of fast curing adhesives. If we look to the TG level, we can see that there is a benefit compared to Mercaptan. So we more or less achieve twice as high as the TG as with the reference formulation that we set up with Mercaptan. Of course, mentioning here that this is not supposed to be a real adhesive that we tested here, but at least it gives you an impression of what our curing agent can do in a formulation with an epoxy resin. If we just keep an eye to the top left of that slide, here's a reminder again about the different mixing ratio. If you talk about a Mercaptan curing an epoxy, there's a mixing ratio of 1:1, whereas with the Ancamine, we can reduce the amount of curing agent by half. So it's 2 parts of epoxy and 1 part of a curing agent. What's again important to mention is the relevantly lower viscosity. which can be a benefit, but of course has to be regarded or has to be considered if we talk about applying the adhesive. If we look to the full cure properties, it comes to the toughness and strength that we talked about. And we can see here that in all the categories and the comparison to the Mercaptan, we are outperforming the Mercaptan benchmark. So both strength and modulus are relevantly higher than on the Mercaptan basis. There is a little downside on the strain, but of course that's quite obvious. Again, this can be modified, of course, but this gives a good starting point for a structural and very strong adhesive without being brittle, of course. And what's really impressive is the category of the sulfur aspect. So we did tests in a UV resistancy comparison benchmark study on the mentioned Mercaptan formulation with epoxy resin versus our new Ancamine 2914 UF. And we can see that over a month's time, the Mercaptan formulation not only turned yellow to orange, but even ended up being rather brownish. Whereas on our side of the new amine curing agent, we do have a little yellowing, so it's still an epoxy, of course, but it's relevantly less. There's a real and pure benefit that you could probably even leverage when we talk about aesthetic applications in the electronic sector or even in the automotive sector. And of course, what's not possible to display in this webinar is the lack of odor. So if you would compare the smell of both Mercaptan and the amine system, you will probably see the other benefit of the amine systems. Your next question would probably be, let's take a look at the safety data sheet. How is it labeled? How is it available globally? And this is just to assure you that, of course, we are talking about reactive chemicals here. So we do have a certain hazardous classification that you can see on the left-hand side. But it's state of the art, and you can probably handle this very well. With regard to the compliance to regulatory lists, it's included in all inventory lists in the relevant market, as you can see here. And summarizing that also with regard to the plasticizer dimension, it's absolutely plasticizer free. So we don't have any BPA, Nonyl, phenol, or benzyl alcohol in it. The development work is going on, so we are supporting customers across the world, also with regard to application fine-tuning. Just to give you an example of what we have already done by tuning such kind of formulation, we have added another polyamide grade from Evonik, the Ancamine 351, because there was a request to develop formulation for one water-sensitive application, or at least give a guideline how you can modify even epoxy amine combination in a, let's say, starting point or guiding formulation. And we found that by adding Ancamine 351, you can relevantly increase the water resistancy. So that's measured by the shore after 4 weeks in water at ambient temperature, and you can see here that this is relevantly increasing. Of course, the gel time is affected by it, but that's let's say the part of the development work that's ongoing. So if that is relevant for you, if you see an application, we are happy to provide more services and not only providing a sample of the Ancamine 2914 UF. You are welcomed to get in touch with us to talk about your special requests and requirements. So let's summarize. We do have developed this Ancamine 2914 UF to extend our portfolio of 2K amine epoxy curing agents. That's an excellent choice when it comes to an ultra-fast cure structural adhesive. It is 100% plasticizer free, doesn't have any sulfur odor or the familiar wet yellowing, so it's hardly without any yellowing. It has a very high TG and it will allow a very high strength and a high modulus. Applications that we are expecting as a target application for this kind of curing agent are structural adhesives across electronics, automotive, industrial, structural bonding, or even repairing, and of course, do-it-yourself applications. And as I've said earlier, it's without any BPA, without any nonylphenol, without any benzyl alcohol. Describing it in other words, all the categories that you hopefully remembered are fulfilled. So the Ancamine 2914 is ultra fast, high strength, has a high TG, no sulfur odor or yellowing, and it's absolutely plasticizer free. So if that sounds about right, and you think we can support you, please get in touch with us. We are happy to talk to you. And you can do that either through our website, which is displayed here, or if you just Google for Crosslinkers Evonik, you will also find that link. If you want to do your own search about certain products and even find out more about the other products that we offer, we have implemented a new tool on our website, which is called the Product Finder. And you can find this under the second link here, or probably also Google for Product Finder Crosslinkers. And it will guide you through our products. You can make selections about the specific performance that you are looking for and the specific region for the use of it. And you will be guided to some products. If you just like the personal touch, you can also get in touch with me directly. You can see my picture on the right-hand side here and my name underneath it. So please send me an email and I'm happy to reply to you and even get you in touch with our technical people to support you beyond that. So that's about it. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for listening. I hope that gave a good insight into Evoniks world about what we are doing, and at least explaining and introducing one new product that we have developed and would be looking forward to get in touch with you. So stay safe, stay healthy, and hope to talk to you soon. And yeah, now it's time for questions. So if you have any, please let us go to the Q&A session.